The question right now is whether Iran will respond. And so if they don't, we could see an easing of tensions. This could be the moment where an off-ramp is provided to all of the actors in the Middle East. Tensions settle between Israel and Iran. It could allow for Israel to come to a ceasefire deal with Hamas, as well as one with Hezbollah to stop all of the fighting. Or the alternative is Iran could carry out another attack on Israel. Israel, already having proven its capabilities with its attack that took out Iran's air defense systems, could then carry out a more aggressive attack, and they've said they would, should Iran respond. And that attack would likely, or could possibly feature attacks on their nuclear or energy facilities, which would be considered a significant escalatory attack. And we could be looking at even U.S. forces having to get involved in a major Middle East crisis.
Welcome to Reporter's Notebook, where we talk to the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the stories breaking on their beats. I'm Jim Antle, and I'm joined today by defense reporter Mike Brest. Mike, North Koreans and Russia, talk about this latest strange development in the war in Ukraine.
So U.S. officials have said as recently as this week that they've seen intelligence that North Korea has deployed about 10,000 troops to eastern Russia, where they've undergone training, and about 8,000 of them the U.S. has already seen move westward and are now on their way towards Kursk. And what we should know about Kursk is it's the area right over the border in Russian territory where Ukrainian forces carried out an offensive operation in August, and they're holding this Russian territory still to this day. And so the U.S. believes that these troops, and again, roughly 8,000 North Korean troops, are heading this way to fight the Ukrainians that are holding Russian territory. And so this is a major moment in the war that's almost 3 years old now, because it's the first time we're seeing a party other than Russia and Ukraine involved in the conflict. Now, North Korea has provided military aid to Russia before, like Iran has, but this is the first time where we're seeing actual troops be provided to Russia, and the implication or the belief is that they will be used to fight against Ukrainian forces.
So no matter what happens in the presidential election, we're entering into the waning days of the Biden administration, and there seems to be a renewed push for a ceasefire in Gaza. What's the status of that?
So several U.S. officials are currently in the Middle East meeting with both Israeli officials as well as officials from other neighboring countries that are seeking to broker a ceasefire agreement that we've talked about for several months now. And so the latest iteration of these proposals are much shorter than the previous ones that they've pushed and publicized and announced. And so we're talking about a ceasefire that may last only a matter of days and release only a handful of the hostages, but it really could be a step in the right direction. The big sort of factor that turned this all around was the Israeli forces' killing of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar, who is believed to be the mastermind of the October 7th attack, and U.S. officials have said he was the primary opposition to getting a deal done. And so there's optimism that his replacement could be more willing to come to a deal to end the war, but it's still unclear who that actual successor is. And so that's one of the big question marks at this point. The U.S. officials believe that they can capitalize on Sinwar's death to get a deal over the finish line.
So Israel has retaliated against Iranian attacks. There's an obvious Iranian relationship to Hamas and to Hezbollah, Israeli enemies. Where do things currently stand?
So the question right now is whether Iran will respond. And so if they don't, we could see an easing of tensions. This could be the moment where an off-ramp is provided to all of the actors in the Middle East. Tensions settle between Israel and Iran. It could allow for Israel to come to a ceasefire deal with Hamas, as well as one with Hezbollah to stop all of the fighting. Or the alternative is Iran could carry out another attack on Israel. Israel, already having proven its capabilities with its attack that took out Iran's air defense systems, could then carry out a more aggressive attack, and they've said they would, should Iran respond. And that attack would likely, or could possibly feature attacks on their nuclear or energy facilities, which would be considered a significant escalatory attack. And we could be looking at even U.S. forces having to get involved in a major Middle East crisis to the proportion that we haven't seen yet to date.
Which I think is one of the reasons why the Biden administration has discouraged an Israeli strike on the nuclear facilities. But it does seem that Iranian defenses are degraded after the most recent Israeli strikes.
That's exactly right, and it's a message that the U.S. has given to the Israelis as well, which is take the win. And it's sort of, you've proven the point, you've shown your capabilities, even though you haven't needed to demonstrate them yet. And so what the U.S. would see, as they've said all along throughout the entirety of the wars, they don't want to see this escalate. They don't want to see a major regional conflict. And so they believe the way to do that now is for Iran not to carry out a retaliatory attack, for Israel to finalize 2 deals ending its wars in Lebanon and Gaza, and for Israel, for the hostages to return home.
Thank you, Mike. You can read Mike and the rest of our national security team's coverage at washingtonexaminer.com.